Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Damontae bringing you a banger. Don't forget to go follow on my Twitch, please. Here you will never miss out on daily Payday content. The best leech builds for death sentence 1 down. But before we get too far into it, I want to cover what is known as the Leech Bug. So inside the perk deck, inside the cards more specifically, the build will say this: your card Indomitable will give you a 20% HP increase. The card Built Different will give you another 20% HP increase. And then your last card in the deck, being Symbiosis, will also grant you a 60% HP increase. So from my understanding of math, 20 plus 20 plus 60 equals 100%. So that means your HP amount should be 460, like it would be with the muscle that has a 100% HP increase. So if it is a 100% HP increase, 230 plus 100% of itself is exactly 460. But unfortunately, the perk deck only has an 80% HP increase, so therefore it makes it sit around a 414 HP. So either you need to change these 20% HPs to 10% values, so therefore it'll be a 10 plus 10 plus 6 will equal the 80%. Or you can change the 60% to a 40%, and then that'll make it an 80% because 20 plus 20 plus 40 equals 80. Now, let's get into the tips for the build here. The main focus inside this build is really just to have 225 HP or more, so therefore you'll have 2-shot HP and 1-shot armor. Keep in mind that when we are taking 225 damage, it is roughly 50% of our HP. Your injector will give you 40% of HP, so using your injector after taking damage can make you last a bit longer. In the same situation when interacting, you want to get shot first and then pop your injector to regain the HP that you've lost. Inside these builds, we can get 3-shot HP with the help of first aid kit's 10% damage reduction from 225 damage, because the 10% changes 225 to 202.5, and if I have 414 HP taking 202.5, that leaves me with 211.5. 211.5 can take another 202.5, which will leave me with 9 HP, which is 3-shot HP, without the use of a Joker in this build. We also get 3-shot HP with having a Joker in the build, which is giving us 69 HP. While the base perk has 414, that will get you up to 483, which without damage reduction, this equals 3-shot HP for 225 damage, and here's the math. 483 minus 225 equals 258, 258 minus another 225 will equal 33 HP, so therefore if you have a Joker, you'll have more life left over to start regenning from than, without a Joker, as the example would be. 10-second injector, and the cooldown lasts 30 seconds. The cooldown will start when you use the injector, so when you use the injector and it ends, you'll just have to wait 20 seconds, so in that scenario you'll kill cops for your cooldown. During the injector, your hostage taker heals for 4.5%, and that will change during the injector to a 10% heal, which can be a difference maker inside of, the 3-shot HP setup. There's a few ways of using the injector, and here's a couple of them. It's letting the enemies pop your armor, and then take a 225 shot to your HP, and then you pop the injector, get it right back. Another style is using, the injector for interacting. You'll let them break your armor with however many shots it takes. You'll let them, hit you with 225 shots, and then you'll pop your injector to get all the life back, so that what they've damaged is essentially just all back now. Don't be scared to use the injector just for 40% HP heal, and then play passive. That is not really much of an issue inside this build. Since you're using it to keep yourself alive, it's not an issue when using it in this, fashion. Having a 10-second injector, you are able to make some major distances if you're trying to run through a map. Just be aware of getting shot, since, it'll slow you down, essentially, if you get put to no HP. And this will screw you over, and you will get killed more times than not in that scenario. But if you bring first aid kits with the injector movement, it'll open up very aggressive pushes, since you'll be able to take damage that'll slow you down, but then you'll just be able to heal right back up. You'll be able to run away, you'll be able to hide, you'll be able to do certain things that'll keep you alive in that scenario. The hits concept is inside of the 22 Perk Deck video, and it went over the Leech, but now the Leech is outdated. And nowadays, it's the Leech, if it has over 200 damage, then it'll take away 2 blocks of HP. So with that scenario, you'll be able to survive, as an average with the injector, 5 shots. And then without your injector, your average will be 4 shots. Now, if you were to include some of your skills into this theory, like your bullseye or your first aid kit heals, you could make 4 shots into 8 shots. Even during your injector with 10% damage reduction, you're still taking over 200 damage, so your average is still 5 shot without getting heals from kills. So if you want to go under 200 damage, you will need extra damage reduction either from, your skills, or from the crew chief, or a maniac, or you'll have to get a skill called Forced Friendship. Either way, any method that you're using, it will allow 225 from your 10% from the first aid kits, changing that to a 202.5. If you get underdog, or if you get a crew chief or something that's going to help you lower this damage value, then you will only take 1 block of damage, changing the average to 10 instead of 5. Now lastly, the injector lasts 10 seconds and has a cooldown of 30 seconds. This 30-second cooldown starts the second you use the injector, so at the end of your injector you just need to wait 20 seconds. Now here in one of my old Leech videos, I show how fast I was able to regen the injector, and it was inside of a 13.038 second time period, without really trying my best or like spawning in enemies on a separate map. I just wanted to show a real game scenario. Leech Dodge build. This one was actually sent to me from my moderator Rockystar. Now if you guys don't remember, he was one of the creators to one of my weekly build videos, which was the Wasp Hacker SMG. And from the feedback on that video, it shows that you guys had enjoyed that build and liked that build. So now Rockystar's build will make another feature, but in the Leech category. Now one of the first things that I want to go over is that since you have 25% dodge, it is good to know that on that 25% dodge, you can get a 4 dodge in a row on a 1/256 chance of happening. Now, with most heists being around a 10 to 15 minute long time period, with this in mind, having a 0.35 grace period, and if you add them together it equals about 1 second, so if you're adding 3 shots of 225 to get 1 second, if you had 60 seconds, it's possible for you to get hit by 180 shots in a 1 minute time period. So, if you know this, and you have that chance of dodge being in your mind that you can get a 4 in a row when playing around with this knowledge, it can come in handy if you are capable of knowing the probabilities and all the chances of possible dodge value, and be able to identify which probability chance that you're on and which probability chance that you've used. This build at a high has 25% dodge, 3-shot HP with a Joker, 1-shot armor, paired with a 10-second injector. With all these in your arsenal, you have a bit of creativity to play around with. This uses the P90 Akimbos and produces major damage when paired with the ammo bags. Mostly, you want to close the distance between you and the cops, so that you aren't missing shots and wasting ammo. The secondary I bring is the Heather SMG with a fast mag. It's decent for some of the ranged combat, but it isn't like the best. It has great fire rate and easy recoil, so therefore it'll be easy to be using as your secondary. Now, let's get into the skills for the build here. I grabbed myself Combat Medic in case I do get Painkiller shouted. I grabbed myself a Joker with Partners in Crime for the HP buff while also getting Hostage Taker for constant HP regen. I grabbed things like Stable Shot since I'm using Akimbos, while also grabbing Resilient Shock and Awe for the passive regens. While grabbing Bullseye for the aggressive, I also have fully loaded and ammo bags, with Bullet Storm included. I grab myself steady grip, fire control, surefire, all the way up to body expertise. Then grab myself things like sneaky bastard and duck and cover for the dodge percentages. And then I grab myself low blow for the 30% crit chance. Now as for the primary P90s here, you have the option to switch these to the Akimbo heathers, and then you run a singular P90 if you just want, you know, a secondary option of running these guns. I go for the Mall Ninja suppressor, which is stability. For the boost, we're using a concealment. For the gadget, we're using the compact laser. For the magazine, we're using the speed pool. And that would be a similar setup to the Heather SMGs. And then as just previously mentioned, you could swap this to the P90, but we're going to be using the Heather here. I use the bigger the better suppressor for accuracy stability. As for the boost, we're using a concealment. For the gadgets, we're using a compact laser. For the magazines, a speed pool. As for the sights, I actually work in a Seymour sight for this build. You can use any, it's purely optional. For the stocks, I do go for the unfolded stock because there's no concealment, you know, for it essentially. The Leech 500 damage sniper rifle full crit build. The build style has always been keeping distance since you have a sniper that will excel in ranged combat. But that doesn't mean you can't fight close range battles with the sniper. And if you have the sniper and you're hitting your shots, that's the best thing to do in close range. But if you have the SMG that you use in this build that kinda deals a lower damage, but it has an excelled ammo economy, which is no issue, I will say that that SMG you choose will be mostly needed to be concealed, so you don't really have many options here. Bringing Greys to the table for crowd control ability will be your main way of survival. Since Greys can kill a lot of cops quickly, you'll be able to stack HP regen during Injector. The SMG I bring is the Micro SMG, and it mostly is used for killing the common cops, but it can be used to try to regen your ammo for your sniper. The SMG helps with Dozer's faceplates when you pull out the sniper to finish them off, but since having max crits inside the build, the sniper with that 500 damage threshold will be punishing Dozers that aren't protected by a faceplate. One thing you need to make sure of, though, is to collect your ammo inside of this build. The sniper rifle, the Desert Fox, doesn't have the best ammo pickup, so sometimes your teammates that might grab your ammo boxes, but you need them, so make sure that you're the one grabbing them. Sometimes you may have to pop an injector and run out and grab your ammo boxes and, you know, the ones that you're shooting specifically, so that you can keep your ammo pool up in your build, because if not, unfortunately your teammates may hinder you in this scenario. Now, let's get into the skills for the build here. I grab myself first aid kits so that I can have an instant HP regen alongside of the injector. Then I grab things like hostage taker and an HP increase so that I can get constant HP regen while also having the injector 40% HP regen be offered a slight more percentage because I have more HP overall. Then I grab things like Greys for my, group killing ability, while pairing things like Bullseye, Shock and Awe, and Resilience inside the build. I do grab things like Steady Grip for the accuracy increase, but then also grab things like Inner Pockets, Low Blow, Unseen Strike, and Optical Illusion so that I can have full crits inside the build. So massive damage output. Now as for the snipers that you choose, you're pretty limited on 500 damage sniper here, so I went for the Silenced Barrel Desert Fox. For the boost, you want to go for Concealment. For the gadget, you want the Compact Laser. You alternatively can put on the secondary sight for the 90 or the 45 degrees, which will give you a 1 concealment increase. But in this build, I didn't necessarily need it. As for the sight, I go for the Seymour. This is purely optional since you can choose any sight that you like. Now as for the Micro Uzi, it is a pretty low, budget of modifying the gun essentially. We have the Maquis suppressor for the concealment. For the boost, we go for concealment. As for the gadget, we go micro laser. And for the stock, we remove the stock for concealment increase. The Leech AR SMG build. This build was actually recently featured in my weekly build series underneath the Leech AR SMG build. This build has AR and SMG pairing together to effectively handle all ranges of combat. With the primary rifle being the Queen's Wraith, it has high accuracy, high stability, pairing it with roughly medium damage in the style of rifle. We have full crits inside this build. It will allow us to push as much damage as we can and have it be pushed out at all ranges. We also have body expertise, so I can kill cops faster and regen my injector quicker. The secondary SMG we grab is the P90, but you have a lot of options to choose from, with the damage type that it brings. From these SMGs, which is around that 60-ish damage area, we have the P90 yielding in around 65 bullets in a mag, which will help a lot during times that you need to reload your primary rifle. The SMG also helps regen ammo for your primary, and then your primary will win regen ammo for your secondary, so then both guns are really helping each other out and working in both ways. We grab Inspire Basic. Since we have Leech, we have an ability to stay alive after we use our injector if we gotten downed, and then heal a teammate or use a medic bag in that scenario. But in this scenario, we'll be trying to heal a teammate if we do get downed, since we have Inspire. But on a second note, we have Inspire, so therefore if we don't get downed, we can still easily heal a teammate. It's just quicker now. We have many forms of HP regen as well, such as first aid kits, the injector giving us 40% HP regen, and then also the ability inside the injector, which if we get 2 kills, will regen us 10% HP. Now, let's get into the skills for the build here. As I mentioned, we grab ourselves Inspire for if we do get downed and or if we just need to heal a teammate in a scenario. We're also grabbing things like Quick Fix Ace for 10% damage reduction, which I've already mentioned at the beginning of this video, allows us to get 3-shot HP without the Joker. Now, as I just mentioned, we have a Joker, which is also offering us 3-shot HP, so if we aren't able to get a Joker, first aid kits, damage reduction will be offering us this 3-shot HP. Grabbing things like Stability from Stable Shot, then grabbing things like Shock and Awe, Resilience, and Bullseye for all the types of armor regen, while also grabbing the Ballistic Vest armor increase. I do grab things like Steady Grip, Fire Control, Surefire, and Body Expertise inside the build, while also grabbing things like Inner Pockets, Optical Illusions, Low Blow, and Unseen Strike for max crits. And then that's it. Now, as for the guns here, you have a lot of choices in this damage range, but I went for the Queen's Wraith. I go for the shorter barrel for the concealment increase. As for the suppressor, I go for the KS12, which is that stupid big one, mostly just for the accuracy increase. Next, I go for an accuracy increase inside the boost, while grabbing the foregrip, or the versatile foregrip for the 4 stability, while also getting the 1 concealment. As for the gadgets, I'm using the military laser module because I didn't need the 8 stability from the LED. As for the grip, I'm using the delightful grip for the stability increase. As for the mag, the speed pull mag. As for the secondary sight, you could technically use one, but I did not go for it. As for the actual sight, I'm using the Seymour, purely optional. And then choices for your secondaries are, the same within that 60 damage category, but for the P90 here, I went for the Maul Ninja Suppressor. For the boost, I go for the 2 concealment increase. As for the gadget, I'm using the Compact Laser. For the magazine, I'm using the Speed Pull. You could throw a sight on here and you would get at 23 detection risk, but I just did not go for one. The Leech LMG build. A good LMG gunner is capable of controlling a group with staggering them, knocking them over with enough damage being dealt, and the cops rolling around on the ground, and then killing them, and then coming back to the grounded cops, finishing them off. Doing this will be the difference with survival when using an LMG. Crowd control with an LMG is really good. You just need to target prioritize, position correctly to effectively deal with the cops. What I enjoy about using this build is the ability to sustain an assault wave at a distance where I have the accuracy to hit them, and from the range where you'll mostly do the fighting, from is just not being able to get hit. You're going to be trying to stay at a distance to where the range is effectively working for you. We bring the KSP for 200 rounds with a high fire rate it brings. We focused accuracy and stability so we can constantly spray 200 rounds if required. The KSP is one of the best LMGs to sustain an assault wave with, and it will also keep you in the fight and will fight off whatever is pushing you or whatever you're pushing. The SMG I bring is the Kxng with its consistent 75 damage. This style of SMG is great with the ammo economy while also handling the common cops and dozers pretty effectively. Since it's very accurate, it lets you tag the dozer with shots from range, and then if he does get close to you, you can whip it out and effectively deal with him. I'd say personally this is one of my personal favorite builds for using the Leech because you have options of just anything that you want to choose. You could go through any of the LMGs, you could choose practically every SMG that's available, you can use any armor type. It just really requires on your skill usage if you're changing the armor type to, let's say, ICTB. This build isn't concealment driven, so therefore you aren't hindered behind the fact of having to get a weapon low concealment to be able to use it. This build will allow you to just use anything that you want, however you want. Now, let's get into the skills for the build here. I grabbed myself first aid kits for instantaneous HP regen, while also grabbing things like hostage taker and an HP increase. I grabbed things like rifleman so my snap to zoom with the LMG is instant, and having things like stable shot for more stability. I grabbed shotgun to stagger the cops with the LMG, while also grabbing things like resilience and bullseye. I then have body expertise, lock and load, surefire, and steady grip aced, while grabbing things like fire control for more accuracy. I then grabbed things like duck and cover parkour, while also pairing things like optical illusions, the professional, high value target, and unseen strike inside the build, so that now I can deal massive damage to the special units, I can deal massive damage to all the crowds of enemies, I have crits in the build, and I have the professional skill, which allows my LMG to be very stable. Now you do have multiple choices of LMGs to use from, but I went for the KSP, which I grabbed the long barrel for stability and accuracy increase. Next I go for the bigger the better suppressor, which is giving me accuracy and stability. You might as well grab the bipod because why not? As for the boost, I actually went for stability on this setup. As for the foregrip, I do not go for the railed foregrip. For the gadgets here, I use the LED combo. And then for the stock, I'm using the solid stock. Now as for the secondary SMGs, as I mentioned, you have a lot of different choices to choose from, but I went for the Kxng, and this is how I built it. It has the MG8 precision barrel, which is giving me accuracy and stability. I go for the bigger the better suppressor for the accuracy and stability. As for the boost, I went for the accuracy. As for the gadgets, I'm using the LED combo for the 8 stability. For grips, I went for the AK plastic grip for the 8 accuracy increase. For the sights, this is purely optional, but I went for the Seymour. As for the stock, you can use the bull stock if you want, but it's just not really even needed in the build. The Leech 200 damage sniper full crit build. This build is a copy of the Kingpin Sniper, which was featured inside of the Kingpin Best Builds video, which you see here. It comes with full crits, so the sniper produces a lot of damage output. Plus, you get easy crowd control ability using a sniper rifle with graze. You play mostly at range with this weapon setup, but you play best at medium to far range. But if you can hit your shots at close, the sniper is the best weapon to be using in close range engagements. The secondary I bring is the Deagle pistol. While having full crits, it is going to be the dozer killing weapon here. It has massive damage, and having the fire rate that it has, it produces even crazier damage values. So generally speaking, if you do run up on a dozer or a dozer runs up on you, you just pull your pistol out and shoot all 15 shots as fast as you possibly can. And that dozer will be dead, regardless. Now, let's get into the skills for the build here. I grab myself Combat Medic in case I get Painkiller shouted, then grab myself Partners in Crime for the HP increase while also getting Hostage Taker for the constant HP regen. I grab myself Graze for the, the crowd control capabilities of the build, grabbing things like Bullseye, Die Hard for the armor increase, and then Resilience for the passive regen. I don't need anything in the Technician, so therefore I didn't grab anything. I do grab things like Inner Pockets so that I can conceal my Ballistic Vest, while grabbing things like Low Blow and Unseen Strike for the max crit setup. I did not go for any suppressors inside the build, so therefore the Professional wasn't needed. I then grabbed the Trigger Happy skill while grabbing things like One-Handed Talent and the Gun Nut, so therefore I can reload faster and make the increased fire rate for the build, so therefore when I'm firing the 15 shots, the increased fire rate will make it, more quicker damage output. Now as for the snipers here in this 200 damage range category, there's a few that you can choose from, but I went for the R700. This one has the short barrel, which is giving me the concealment. I then go for the concealment increase. For the gadget, I go for the compact laser. Technically, you can throw the secondary sight on here. As for the sights, it's purely optional, but I go for the Seymour. And then as for the stocks, you have two options here, but I go for the military stock for the accuracy increase. Now as for the secondary here, you have a couple of different choices of pistols that you can actually choose from that range from that 100 damage to 200 damage range. I go for the IPSC compensator for the accuracy increase. For the boost, I went for concealment because I needed it. I go for the micro laser for the just no changes to the build. For the grip, I go for the bling grip, which gives me concealment and stability, which the stability really isn't a factor, at least in my concern. You could go sights, you could go a secondary sight, but I personally just went for the marksman sight. The Leech shotgun build. We went with the old meta setup, bringing the Isma and the Judge shotgun. The shotgun build being the old meta, it still performs really well inside Death Sentence. The biggest downfall is being ranged that you deal damage. Primary shotgun is used for all the cops, while fighting dozers on the other hand, just be careful of the ammo pool, because at that moment you may have a lot, but since you're fighting a dozer, it will eat up all the ammo that you have. The group killing ability is next to none, with having the ability to shoot the shotgun down a hallway and just hit everything. Since I'm bringing Surefire in the build and having Buckshot, we have a stack up of overkill damage and the damage output being paired with the crits inside the build. And if we, have all these things being paired together, which once again I have Surefire aced, it deals all these big damage values to the body while the cops are getting hit down this hallway. I grabbed the Judge secondary with fire rounds to deal with shields mostly, but it comes very handy with dealing with groups of cops as well. The Judge can hit snipers from across the map and still take them out. It just requires not the instant burn anymore, because your distance between you two. But the way it'll kill them is that it's dealing enough damage from the overkill or the crit or the damage increases that you're given. We bring a fire shotgun secondary, which is amazing to refill the primary Isma. The fire can easily control a crowd of enemies as well, which will allow you to have the freedom to move around and just deal damage consistently. Now, let's get inside the skills for the build here. I grabbed myself first aid kits for the aggressive HP regen while playing with the shotgun. I grabbed things like Hostage Taker, Partners in Crime for the constant HP regen and the HP increase, while having Confident for 2 jokers on the battlefield. I then grabbed things like Overkill for the, crowd control ability with the shotgun, while grabbing things like Bullseye and Die Hard for the armor increase on the ballistic vest. I then grabbed things like Surefire, as I previously just mentioned, so that my buckshot rounds have armor piercing capabilities, while also grabbing the stability from Steady Grip. I grab Inner Pockets Aced, while also having things like Low Blow and Unseen Strike for full crits inside the build. I'm using High Value Target for massive damage output to the specials. Here for the shotgun, it is pretty much built as it always is. You have the buckshot, you have the short barrel for the minus accuracy and concealment increase. Next I go for the horizontal leveler so that my spread comes out flat. For the boost, it's a minus accuracy. For the custom, you use the auto fire. Charging handle, this is new in the build, but it minuses 4 accuracy and gives, stability, so therefore I went for it. I did not go scope mount, but I did go for the hollow handle for concealment. Next I go for the compact laser. Then going for the AK wood grip for the 12 stability. While also getting the Big Brother magazine, which is only 4 shots, but considering if I have overkill and crits being triggered, those 4 shots can equal multiple kills. You could go sights, but I didn't. As for stocks, you have different choices here, but I go for the classic stock for that 12 stability increase. Lastly, you have an upper receiver, which is new, which gives you a damage increase, minus to your accuracy, and an increase to your stability. Now as for your secondary judge shotgun, I have the legendary skin equipped, so really all you'll need to do is just conceal the gun and grab Dragon's Breath. That's all that's required inside this setup here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you did enjoy what you guys were watching there. If you guys decide to play any of the builds that were included inside this video, let me know if you guys played them. Let me know if you had changed anything actually, because I'm always open to seeing different ideas and different strategies inside the builds that I've created. They say knowledge is power, so from watching this video, you guys have gained some bit of knowledge on something that you guys didn't know previously, so therefore you're getting more power. Also, don't forget to go over to my YouTube, head onto my community page, and then when you click onto my community page, make sure that you guys find the next vote for the next best Perk Decks video, and it'll be there once this video is released. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do appreciate it. Please leave me some likes, hit me with some comments, sub if you're new. There's a weekly build series that we have. We have this, which is the best build series. We have weekly videos. We have a crime spree series, and this is 5 days a week. We also have speedruns, which is covering the full storyline of Payday 2, and it goes from a 12-hour run to a 6-hour run. And then after that, we have DSOD solos, which are geared towards more of like a challenge style. Currently, the way that things are set up and the way that my life is currently, we're able to produce about 5 per week.